So, I'm going to try something here. If I had two cameras and were more organized, I would show what's going on the palette and also what's going on the panel on which I'm painting. But I don't, so we're just going to focus on this panel itself. As you can see, it's stained very dark. It's very smooth. For the purpose of this little demonstration, I think it's probably kind of handy. So I'll use that. I'd mentioned something about mother color recently, and this is along those ideas. When I was first showing interest in painting and my dad tried to help me along a little bit, he said, well, growing up in the prairies, often the opportunities for painting were during gray skies, in the fall. And he made a suggestion. He said something that he called it mother color theory. And well, I guess I'll adopt the idea. And I like the idea. It keeps things simple. This isn't for somebody who wants to be stingy on their paint. You need to make sure that you mix a pile. Maybe at some point in the future I'll do a larger, or I'll do a better job of it. But my palette itself has a very small mixing area right now. So I thought I would just throw some colors on here and make a painting from the colors that I've got laying here. Now I may add colors from my palette onto the painting, but they will stay the same colors. So what I have, and this will comprise my mother colors: raw umber, cobalt blue, and white. Now I have a little alizarin crimson here and a little yellow ochre here. That will help me to move things around a little bit, color-wise, or hue-wise. But basically, the idea of the mother color is really helpful when you want to establish your values in the painting when you're just starting it. Boy, that's got gunk on it. That's not going to work as a painting. That's fine. Good for the demonstration. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to mix my mother color. So I'm smearing it into the cobalt blue and the raw umber. I'm adding a little titanium white. That establishes the tone of the tone of the painting. The tone of the painting will be a combination of hue and value. And there you have it. There's the hue and value. Okay? So I'm going to just go right with that. No, it's not a finished painting, obviously. It's not going to be. It's just a demo. But I'm trying to establish something here. A very quick composition. Okay, back into my mother color, but staying dark now. Just raw umber and cobalt blue, and I'm going to throw just a little bit of alizarin crimson in there. Keep it dark. Let's say we're looking down a hillside with a very dramatic sky behind it. Okay. Do we want a tree? Back into the mother color. Almost straight raw umber now. But see, I'm playing with the same mixture. I'm not worrying too much about contaminating the paint. This, of course, is a technique that you use mostly when you're painting wet and wet. Okay. Good enough. Now, I'm going to make this lighter and go to the raw umber side of my little pile here, my little mother color pile. Whoop, still too blue. Let's see. We want to do something like that. That's what we want to do. Don't worry, I'm using an old brush that I'm going to sacrifice. I keep going to my palette mistakenly because I'm so used to dipping into my palette. Okay, the trees are going up like so. Windy, nasty, stormy scene. Whoops, I keep dipping into that. Okay. Alright, so you can see those colors are all very related to each other. Alright, we'll do this, I think. Now I'm going to touch my yellow ochre. I still have those residual colors on my brush, right? So they are all related. Whoops. Just going to touch a little bit of raw umber and cobalt blue and white. But I keep wanting to go to my palette. Old habits die hard. Well, they aren't habits I want to get rid of anyway, so it's just as well. Okay, into the yellow ochre, into the raw umber. See, I'm just kind of laying that right over the other stuff. Back into the yellow ochre. Now I have the residual of the mother color still in my brush. Yellow ochre and white. Now I'm going to touch a bit of alizarin crimson. And yellow ochre, and I'm going to add a bit of interest to the sky. I'm not going to keep scrubbing over it because the sky is pretty much scrubbed in already. Whoops, I'm playing. Stop playing. Okay, I'm going to raw umber again. Now I'm getting back to messing around in here. I like this area bluish, grayish, more gray and darker blue. And I'm going warmer on this side with a bit of raw umber. Use up the rest of my raw umber there. And the rest of my yellow ochre. That'll make it sort of this interesting greenish umber. Touch it with alizarin crimson. A little bit of purple for interest. I have this tendency to hold my brush in a very perpendicular angle to the panel, which isn't always so good, because when you do that, you pretty much brush as much paint off as you lay on. So you're almost better off keeping it fairly parallel to the panel itself. Okay, back to the darker stuff here for a moment. I think I've lost something. Try to re-establish that. Okay. That's fine, that's fine. Let's just put a hint of something there. All right. Now I don't have enough of my mother color left on my palette, and I think I'm just going to go purple with the foreground. So I'm going to take some raw umber from my actual palette, add it to this. Well, this area was never intended to be part of the painting, but I'm just kind of smearing it in now for the heck of it, just because it's kind of fun. And it's kind of wild, which I do like. Okay, so okay, now I'm dipping back into the palette that I have below the painting, and you can't see that. But that's simply because I didn't lay enough color on the palette itself. I'm cheating. Big surprise, eh? I'm gonna let that catch some light. Okay. You know, because the panel itself is quite contaminated with other substances, this will never be a painting anyway. I can't leave it. But I did want to show you how, you know, pretty much the bulk of the volume of the paint that's on here is raw umber and cobalt blue and white, and then you can add alizarin crimson on this side, like from this side of the pile, and a bit of yellow ochre from this side of the pile to warm things up and cool things off. Anyway, if that were a painting, look at the motion in it. I love it. But all the ingredients are there to make a painting. No, it's not dramatic and super colorful, but it's still something. It's interesting and it's kind of fun to do. Typically, well, not typically, but when I've had to do a large gray sky, I've often employed that use of mother colors. I will use ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, and raw umber, and I will add other colors as appear to be necessary as the sky goes on. Anyway, short demo. Have a good night, guys. Talk to you later.